You ever notice that one person who never texts first? You're always the one to start the conversation, always the one checking in, and yet when you go silent, they vanish. It's not that they don't care, it's that something deeper is going on inside their psychology. So let's unpack the hidden reasons behind why some people never text first. First, understand this. People who never initiate contact often operate from emotional self-protection. They've learned, consciously or not, that emotional investment can be risky. Maybe they've been the one who cared too much before. They were the one who double texted, who waited for replies that never came, who gave more than they got. So now they've trained themselves to hold back. To them, not texting first isn't indifference, it's defense. It's a quiet way of saying, I won't put myself in a position to be ignored again. But there's another side to it, control. In psychology, we call this avoidant communication behavior. These people want connection, but they also want to feel in charge of how and when that connection happens. If they text first, they feel like they're giving up emotional power. They fear being seen as too eager, too available, too dependent. So they wait. They wait for you to reach out first because it gives them a sense of emotional security. You came to me, which means I'm wanted. Deep down, it's about validation. They may crave closeness, but they need it to come from you, not from their own effort. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. People who never text first often score high on avoidant attachment. In attachment theory, avoidant individuals fear intimacy, even though they secretly long for it. They grew up learning that closeness leads to disappointment or rejection, so they rely on distance to feel safe. When they don't text first, it's their way of controlling emotional distance. They tell themselves, if they really care, they'll reach out. It's not arrogance, it's insecurity disguised as calm detachment. But not everyone who doesn't text first is avoidant or insecure. Some people simply mirror effort. They believe communication should be mutual. They've been drained by one-sided connections, so they test for reciprocity before they engage. If you always text first, they assume you're okay with it. And if you stop, they take it as a sign you've lost interest. In other words, they mirror your energy. Not because they don't care, but because they're tired of guessing who does. Then there's the self-sufficient type, the lone wolves. These people genuinely don't think about texting first because they live in their own world. They don't depend on constant communication for connection. When they like you, they believe the bond doesn't need constant maintenance. To them, silence doesn't mean distance, it's peace. They can go days without talking, and when you do reconnect, it feels like nothing ever changed. This kind of person values emotional independence over reassurance. They assume the relationship is strong enough to survive pauses. But here's the paradox. When two people who never text first meet, the relationship stalls. Both are waiting for the other to show interest. Both are trying to protect themselves, and both end up confirming their own fears. See? They don't care. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. One person's silence reinforces the other's insecurity, and the bond quietly fades. Not because there was no care, but because neither side wanted to be the vulnerable one. Psychologically, not texting first can also signal emotional fatigue. These people may have given a lot of themselves in past connections, emotionally, mentally, even energetically, and now they're selective. They choose peace over pursuit. They'd rather miss a text than chase attention. It's not rejection. It's emotional burnout disguised as detachment. They're not saying, I don't care. They're saying, I'm tired of proving I do. If you're dealing with someone who never texts first, don't automatically assume they're cold or disinterested. Sometimes they're fighting invisible battles with trust, self-worth, or fear of rejection. The truth is, many people who never text first want to be chased, not out of ego, but out of a need to feel safe. They want to believe that someone will choose them without being prompted, that someone will think of them first, that they can finally relax into a connection where effort isn't one-sided. And if you're the one who never texts first, maybe it's time to ask yourself, what's really stopping you? Is it pride? Fear? Past pain? Because sometimes not texting first is a silent cry for reassurance. and other times it's a wall you've built so high you've forgotten what it's protecting. The truth is, connection always requires risk. Someone has to go first. And maybe the most emotionally mature thing you can do is to reach out, even when it scares you. In the end, the psychology of people who never text first isn't about playing games. It's about self-preservation. But if everyone's protecting themselves, nobody connects. So next time you think about texting that person but stop yourself, remember this. Vulnerability might feel dangerous, but silence kills more connections than rejection ever will. Sometimes sending the first text isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're strong enough to care, even when you're unsure if they will.